Here.
Angela Woodward.
Here.
Dan Lawson.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, good evening and welcome again, everyone, to the July 2nd meeting of the Ashland City Council. To our audience, thank you for being here. To our council, Dr. Lawson, welcome back. Mrs. Woodward, Mr. Miller, Mr. Caio, Mayor Miller, welcome all. First item of business this evening will be the approval of the minutes from the June 18th meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes, I'll ask for a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Caio.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Minutes will stand approved. First ordinance this evening will be an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Finance to make the following transfers within the 2024 appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Move for non-reading in full.
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Caio.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Good evening.
Good evening, Larry.
The transfer ordinance before you has an exhibit attached to it. A lot of the transfers are being done within the pool department. This was requested from Mr. Counts, the director who manages that division. There were a couple additional revisions that your clerk did provide to you. One, we've anticipated that the electric is going to need some additional funding, and that is the 101-2501 line. And then the other is the employee fund, where the city funds the FSA account for the city, or for the employees. I'll get it right eventually. In doing that, the employees pay for that throughout the year. Unfortunately, the city fronts that from the very beginning of January, and in doing that, that fund needs some additional resources in order to pay the current bills in anticipation of collecting that money through the end of the year.
Very good. Any questions, concerns for Mr. Paxton? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve on the first reading?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Caio.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
I will move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Caio.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye. Motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Caio.
Aye.
Ordinance 42-24.
We're going to move down to item D on the agenda to facilitate our public hearing that'll begin at 7:10 for items B and C. So with that, we have an ordinance authorizing the disposal of a damaged transit vehicle that is valued at more than $5,000 each and declaring an emergency.
Move for non-reading in full.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Caio.
Aye.
This is more of a technicality than it is anything else, but it is an accounting process that anything of value of more than $5,000, that is the threshold that the city applies when it is buying something that has to be put on a depreciation schedule. So in doing that, unfortunately, this vehicle, which was involved in an accident and has been deemed totaled at this point, is valued on our books at $9,300. So in doing that, that's why I say it's a technicality. We have received reimbursement, I believe, for the vehicle. It is scheduled to be disposed of at a recycling center But unfortunately, it's a technicality that I must go through, and I apologize for that, but it's one of those things accountants do, unfortunately.
It's okay. This is the one that was involved in the Route 30 accident?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments, questions, discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, then is there a motion to approve on the first reading?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Again, I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Ordinance 43-24.
All right. Got about 4 minutes until 7:10, in which time we'll begin our hearing. There is no old business, no new business this evening unless council has something to bring forward. Larry, do you have any finance report before we? move further?
Well, my good friend Howard is in the audience. I thought I might read this book for him. In last week, the city did file its 2023 audit with the state auditor's office. That sounds like it's like a half a year late, but it really isn't, because it takes a while for the CAFR to be prepared, the GAP report to be prepared, and then the auditor's office will come in and audit those reports. So it's ongoing, almost from January until most recently, and so it has been filed. We do not anticipate any issues as we go through that, but we will be working with them. We will get, or you folks should get confirmation that the audit has been completed from the state auditor's office, hopefully in the near future.
All right. This is the same audit that our independent auditing firm works on from January to.
Yes, they worked with us on that.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And
absolutely.
They set guidelines and deadlines for that to be completed. And I must say, they adhere to those deadlines pretty close.
Yes, sometimes even when we have other things to do as well, they do have about 40-some different subjects that we have to meet with them on and provide information to them. So it is an enduring process, yes.
I'm sure. Any discussion for Mr. Paxton on his report? You have anything else, Larry?
No, that's all, thank you.
All right. So we can anticipate the state response when?
I would say in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. We can take care of council comments if anyone has anything. Mr. Lawson, if you'd like to go first.
Well, as you mentioned, returning home from our globe-trotting travels, I just want to say, Ed, has become very, very obvious that we live in a very special place here in this town. And this evening, I had an opportunity to offer a ride to one of our Vietnam veterans who didn't have a car, and he was carrying his arms full of groceries, making about a mile walk. And I had the privilege of offering him a ride. And not many towns would people feel safe accepting a ride from a total stranger like that. And we got acquainted, and we live in a very special town. I just want to recognize that.
Good. Yeah. Mrs. Wood?
Well, last week it was Balloon Fest, as we talk about a special town. What an amazing weather we had for that Balloon Fest. So even though it's on county property in that city, so many people came out to see Sylvester and Tweety and some of those balloons. So thank you for all who participated and enjoyed it and gave money and helped support it. And thanks for all those that put in all the effort to make sure that we had such a beautiful few days up there at Fairfield.
Definitely.
Great turnout.
Yes, great turnout, yes.
Just a reminder that the Rotary fireworks will be at Freer Field this year. That's a change 'cause, from the high school stadium, and really came about because of all the new structures that have gone out over there and the new ball field. Don't want to take a risk in anything catching fire, so, oops, no disrespect to the school board, but the decision was made to not allow it there. So Freer Field will be a wonderful venue for it. Maybe even more people will be able to see it from their homes, so just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of it. Came kind of last notice, so we're trying to notify as many people as we possibly can, so, thank you.
Mr. Kyle?
I'll piggyback on the holiday, and just a reminder that, you know, state law says you have to be 150 feet from any structure to set off fireworks. So think about that. Think about how wide the lots are here in town. Most of them average about 90 feet wide, so you can't get 150 feet from someone else's property or a structure. So just keep that in mind. It's fun to celebrate, but it's not fun to burn somebody's house down.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Yeah, thank you. All right, with that, it is 7:11. We can move back to our public hearing items. First public hearing item will be the alley vacation that is at the College Avenue, right beside the Community Foundation. And Mayor, with that, I'll hand it over to you to open up the hearing.
All right, we'll put up on your screen right now, for those of you who are in the audience and those of you watching at home, the alley that we're proposing to vacate is actually located here off College Avenue, in between the Ashland County Community Foundation and the ACADA Board office. This request actually came to us from the Community Foundation. They've requested that we vacate this particular alleyway. Of course, if you're familiar with that area, you will know that that is not widely used by the public, but instead, the hope is, in the future, if the Ashland County Community Foundation would seek to expand their facility, they would then be able to utilize more space on this west side of their building. So that is what brings us here tonight, and now it is time for the public hearing, and we can entertain comments both for and against.
Very good. And if there's anyone here from the general public that would like to speak on the matter, you're welcome to step up to the podium and address council, and we're happy to hear your concerns.
And in this case, both parties are in agreement with the vacation. So I think that's probably why this one isn't too controversial,
All right.
because both parties that will be impacted, ACADA and the foundation, are okay with the vacation.
Very good. Does council have any concerns regarding the vacation?
Nope.
All right. So with that, then I'll hand it over to the Board of Revision and Assessments to take a vote and make a recommendation to council.
All right, for those of you who are just joining us and have never seen this process before, after we have the public hearing, the Board of Revision and Assessments, which is made up of myself as the mayor, the law director or the law director's designee, and our finance director. And the three of us are supposed to consider what's been presented and then determine whether or not we will recommend to the council that it be vacated or that it remain open and available for public use. So I serve as the chairman of that board, so members, I guess we will entertain a motion in regard to this alley.
Mayor, I would move that the Board of Revision and Assessment recommend to this council that this alley be vacated.
All right, we have a motion.
I second that motion.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. So the Board of Revision and Assessment is recommending to the council that you move forward with the vacation of this alley that has been highlighted in red.
All right. And if it's okay with everyone here, we'll move right to the ordinance at this point, which is item B. This will be an ordinance to vacate a certain alley situated in the city of Ashland, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Move for non-reading in full.
Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
And there's no discussion further? Hearing none, then, is there a motion to approve on this, be the second reading? first?
First reading.
First reading, yeah.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye. I will move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Motion to approve the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Ordinance 44-24.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cutright, for being here again, as always. Thank you for all you do with the
Yes.
Community Foundation as well. So with that, then we'll move to the alley vacation hearing on Pleasant Street and Carroll. With that, Mayor, I'll open up the hearing and ask you to summarize.
All right, once again, we'll put an image up here on the screen. At the north side, you will see Pleasant Street. Over here on the west side, you will see Carroll Street. And this particular issue came up to when our city engineer was working with one of the property owners on a new property that they've recently acquired. I believe it was actually up here in this corner. And basically, what we discovered is, here on the books is an alley, but that alley has structures built on top of it, and it's quite a complex situation. But it's clear that it is not going to be a paved street by the city of Ashland anytime soon. And so with that in mind, the city engineer moved forward with a petition to vacate the alleyway, thinking that it might be the first step in starting to clean up and sort out any legal issues that exist with a variety of these properties that are impacted. So that's what brings us here tonight. And once again, we can hear public comment.
All right, so we'll open up the floor to members of the public who may be here to address council on the matter. If you are, please feel free to step up to the podium and state your name and let us know your concerns before we vote. Good evening.
How you doing? My name is Scott Phillips. I'm actually here for Greg Jones of Dead Daughter Properties. He's unable to leave work tonight and asked that I step in. We're his personal friends. He and his daughter own 231 Pleasant Street. They purchased it in March. And that driveway that's between there and 227 has had a car sitting there not moved since March. And they bring in contractors to do, they're renovating the home. So they're inside finishing, they're gonna be doing a lot of exterior renovations. Both to the porch, a large porch, roofing, and they've talked to the neighbor about moving the car to get access, and the neighbor has flat refused to move the car. They won't move the car, won't allow any access to do anything. So Mr. Jones then has asked that we vacate that, and whatever portion of it is his, hers, they want, whether it's 4 feet, the entire alley. Now, there is a pin, I noticed, that's on the 227 side of that alley, and it was recessed in, but recently it's been pulled up and it's bent over. I got photographs, it's been pulled up like someone's trying to remove it. That would indicate to the Joneses that the alley actually is on their property. The Joneses property, 231 would have that full alleyway. We don't know. On 511 Carroll, they purchased that property as well. We're going to take possession of that this weekend, we believe.
Correct.
And they're gonna do a full renovation on those homes. But, they're getting no cooperation with the neighbors, and therefore would like to see that we open it up for future opportunity. And for later, they have people that take care of the property. There's limited parking on the street that would also, avail people that come doing the work in a spot that they can locate and unload and do work.
And my name's Tori Jones from Dad and Daughter Properties, and with what Scott said, yes, we did purchase both the one on the corner and the one that the alleyway is on 2 doors down as well. So both of those are in consideration on Carroll Street.
And they both are contiguous, meaning
Correct.
adjacent to this alley
Yep,
vacation.
they
Yes.
both have the alleyway splitting partial drive on either side.
Yeah, it starts on Pleasant, and follows all the way through and comes out on Carroll, the other property they purchased.
Is 503 a single-family dwelling?
Yes.
Okay.
511. It's 511.
Well, the 503 is that gray house in between the two properties that you
Yes.
have?
Yes.
And that's a single-family dwelling, or is that a
Yes.
rental?
It's, a single family lives there, but a gentleman is renting it out.
Okay.
I think it's 513.
513.
It's okay, Dan.
There's a one there.
Okay, yeah. I see what you're
Just want to
saying.
make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah,
I
the
know,
gray,
I
the
was
gray
wondering.
house, yeah.
Yeah, there's one home in between the two.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, yes, a lady lives there with her children, renting that out.
So there's a car that you would like removed
Well,
in
yes.
connection with this alley
Oh,
vacation?
absolutely.
For when we're doing like the roofing, just to pull our equipment on, and then when we get floors cleaned and carpet cleaned and things like that, the road is a public way, so people usually are parked there, and we're unable to get our equipment back to do the renovations for inside and outside of the units. So the one on the corner is a quadruplex, and we've been doing each room individually, so just quite a bit of work, and continually, once we finish inside, we will be doing outside as well on the porch, which would be ideal to do it right in front, on the side there.
Is that a shared driveway?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out.
Yeah, it
That's,
is
that's
just
in
a
the alley.
vacated
That's what you're
alley.
calling the
Yeah,
alley now.
Because I see access, street access.
Yeah, and the
So
car-
since we purchased it in March, we were told by the gentleman we purchased it from that there was an agreement made with like a handshake back then, that that was his driveway, but of course that doesn't, hold up to anything. So, yeah, currently there's just a car parked in it, and trying to figure out if, we have partial driveway or, able to have access to that location.
Yeah. In your opinion, is there room to move that car over and still have room to access?
It's a pretty thin driveway, the car actually doesn't sit fully on the driveway, it's partially in the yard too, so the driveway's quite thin
In the yard of 231 Pleasant.
in
their
our yard.
property.
Yeah. Not trying to play lawyer here.
Yeah.
It's truly a real estate matter. I would think
Well, it's if it's a car parked in the alley.
it'd
a
have to be,
public alley
it'd have
right
to be
now.
moved. Right now, it's
know.
public alley.
So Mayor, can you kindly get up and kind of show us exactly where they're, I believe I know, but for the people in the audience, where they're talking?
Well,
Of the car, you know, where it's at.
This would be the area where the car would be parked, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And obviously, that is designated as a public thoroughfare, so you could not park a car in the public right-of-way there.
yeah,
And that does look like it's concrete back through there, is that correct?
Yeah,
To a point.
little
Up
bit.
to a point?
Yeah.
Okay.
but right now, you just have on-street parking,
Yes.
correct?
So if you have a contractor come, for instance, sometimes they're parking 4 or 5 houses down to do any type, which, you know, it is what it is. But if that were to become available, it'd be a good spot for contractors to pull in, and the person taking care of the lawn care and
Sure.
doing things, that, you know. Because the Joneses are trying, they just got in, they've got 12 units now, and they are upgrading all of them and remodeling fully internally and exterior.
It helps me out tremendously with, like, Greg's my dad, with Dad and Daughter Properties, that isn't able to be here today, but I do a lot on my own, and carrying things like, 2x4s and drywall and stuff from down the street to the home is quite a bit for me. So we have, Scott and some of our other contractors that help us out.
So sooner the better for you. right?
Correct.
But right now, anybody that's parking there is parking there illegally, I'm thinking.
The car
But-
hasn't been moved since March.
Yeah,
No, I did.
Interesting.
I came in today just to look inside the house, and the car's running. And, well, that was odd, first I've ever heard it running. But then it shut, and I thought it was interesting, you know, we're having this meeting tonight, right? And then it shut off 10 minutes later, so I thought, well, maybe they're just starting up to make sure it'll start and then turn it off, but, you know, I don't know. It was started remotely, it wasn't. Just found that to be interesting, you know.
well, if the alley's vacated after our vote tonight, half will go to the adjacent property owners
Sure.
and half to you as an
And Mr.
adjacent
Jones
property
has
owner.
plans for that, if that were the case.
Yeah.
If they get the full alley, then they'll work with, you know, with council or whoever they need to, whether or not they can make that, you know, where they can park there. Or if they only get half, he's got plans to remove half of that drive.
Sure.
And he would get half. The property is divided
Okay.
between the two property
And
owners, so,
he fully expects it.
yep.
Very
They
good.
expect it, I'm sorry.
Well, I see. Yeah,
We should get a microphone to that.
See, it's not a street.
through.
No, not at all, yeah. Okay, very good.
The car's sitting in the driveway in the
Yeah.
picture.
Mayor,
Steve, we have
Or-
another person who wants to talk.
can I
Oh,
take her my
absolutely.
microphone?
What's that?
She
sorry?
can't go to the podium.
Oh, yes, and we've actually got one over here,
Okay,
if you
great.
want to take that, if you don't mind.
Wonderful.
Thank you for addressing council on the
Thank
matter.
you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hi,
your name?
I don't know if this is on.
It's on.
It is.
Okay. I live at the 227, and that's
Okay.
my car that's parked there.
Oh,
I
okay.
lived in that house for 26 years. My grandfather, before me, owned the property, and he parked there also. That alley has been overoccupied with buildings, fences, for 26 years. And there's never been ever a complaint. When I did my roof and my siding, I went through the city and my dumpster, I paid to have it out in the street. They put the stuff on a tarp, drug it out there, no problem. Didn't have to move any of that. Their question with me not wanting to move, well, first of all, the first time they asked me to move my car, it was in the middle of the winter. I'm in a wheelchair. I can't take my chair out in the snow. I can't get shoes on. I can't walk out there in the snow. That's the reason why I did not move my vehicle. Second, the first time I met these people, they threatened to pound stakes down the middle of the driveway. I have a wheelchair ramp coming off the front of my house. That's the only way I have to get in and out of my house. I cannot go up and down steps. My husband and I both are in a wheelchair. That's our only access to get down to the road, to catch the taxi cab or wherever. If my daughter comes to pick us up for doctor's appointments, that's the only way we have to get in and out of our home, is to access that.
Yeah. And you
And
will,
we can see, we're not I'm not texting,
Right.
but I'm just looking at Google Earth, because it gives us kind of a better view there, and I see exactly what you're describing, with the
Right.
ramp and all of that.
it is very narrow.
Yes, it
It's,
is very narrow. And the
barely
only
a car's
reason that I
width.
have not moved my car is because of their, them threatening. And if you cut me off at that alley, I can't get in and out of my house. If I would leave and go to the store and you pull a utility truck in there, I can't get back in my house. I'm stuck.
yeah. And you realize the neighboring properties would only have half of that.
Exactly. I understand that.
Okay,
But I said, as long as, like I said, if you're gonna divide it, you're gonna divide it. But, my concern is, on my half, like I said, if you put it, like they're saying, utility trucks or whatever, or a bin to do their siding, whatever, I can't get in my house. That's the only way I have to access my house,
yeah.
is, to be able to come from the sidewalk up. That's the only way I have.
The purpose of the vacation of the alley has nothing to do with who owns it.
Right.
What access they have, et cetera. It is a consideration for us. But it's more to alleviate the city from maintaining an alleyway that no one is using, or as the mayor would say, serves no purpose, public purpose.
Right.
As an alley. So I hope you realize that.
Right. I've
And-
never said that that driveway is mine. It's
Sure.
just, like I
I
said,
understand.
I have parked there for 26 years.
Yeah.
There's never, ever been a problem in our neighborhood, except for these last month and a half. There's never been a problem.
Yeah.
Everyone has, like I said, there's a shed sitting there, there's a fence over the driveway. On the other end, the people have made a real nice backyard, planted some rose bushes and another bush. A couple trees have managed to pop up where, an old 4-car garage used to be, where the sheds all sit. Those trees have reappeared, so there's 2 great big giant trees back
Right.
there.
Yeah. If I could speak to council for a moment, it seems with the potential dispute between the property owners, the best thing we can do for them is to vacate this alley and give them each half, to put some finality to the matter. That's as president of council, that's my opinion, and I just wanted to share that with council. If you have any thoughts on the matter, be glad to hear it.
How wide is that right there? Is that 8.1 feet? Is that, am I reading that right? How
I
wide is
think
that?
so, yes, 8.1.
Is that a measurement?
I believe so.
So they would
Going
each
in
get
745 down.
Yes,
4
so it
feet.
is, and that's what Mr. Phillips and the Joneses need to recognize, even if it is vacated, I don't know that you're gonna have enough room that you're gonna be driving.
We understand that.
cons-
Just like confusion, we had just purchased it, like she said, about the last month and a half, so we've never had it in the winter time. And additionally, if we were to put stakes or anything, that would cut off our access. It would never be something we
Yep.
should do that way.
But just so you know, if it would be vacated, chances are you're still not going to be able to drive vehicles, but maybe so, I don't know.
Well, when,
There won't be
Yeah.
any vehicles,
If-
but it'll give clearer access to do the work.
Yep.
That needs done.
Yeah.
And Mr. Jones and Mrs. Miss Jones, they like to beautify it. They want it
Yep,
to look really
absolutely.
nice. So they wanna clean that whole area up, and right now, we're stuck. Can't do it. They wanna clean it all up, make it look really good.
And clearly, I do see your ramp, that is your way out.
Yes.
Your ramp leads to that drive,
Yes.
that alleyway.
So when we vacate an alley, typically, although there are exceptions, typically ownership of half the alley goes to the one landowner and ownership of the other half goes to the owner on the other side. But each side gets an easement in the whole of the alley automatically. And so both sides can use the whole of the alley for ingress and egress. So, pulling in there to drop off materials, things like that. Pulling in there to access a handicap ramp. So or not everybody, but both sides typically get to use the whole of the alley for ingress and egress. Ingress and egress, though, does not mean parking. I mean, that would be something different, so. I don't know if that's necessarily dispositive of, yeah, I mean,
Or a drop-off
of a person,
person.
yeah. I mean, both should be allowed and shouldn't be obstructed by either side. And I hope that helps a little bit, but it's still a difficult situation.
Thank you,
Equally,
Attorney Blunt.
equally said, though, both would have to maintain it equally too. If that's concrete, you own half, there's gonna be some compromise to who
Yeah.
maintains that.
And I mean, I've seen instances where owners of property abutting a vacated alley put their heads together and say, this is what we agree to moving forward. And that can be a good thing to keep everybody on the same page. Doesn't always happen. But
You recommend putting in writing.
not necessarily. I've just seen instances where that has happened and it can be helpful. But taking a step back, I very much agree with President Workman that the issue today, although a lot of what you guys are bringing up is very important, the issue today is whether it serves a public purpose or not. And a lot of that I don't think has anything to do with whether it serves a public purpose.
We appreciate your being here and voicing your concerns, though. It's important to you, it's important to us. So we do appreciate that very much.
Is there street side parking in front of both those properties?
Yes.
And are you able to negotiate your wheelchairs from the street side parking up that alley and into your home?
I wouldn't, I'd have to get rid of my car because I can't, if I park on the street, I can't walk from there to my house. I only can use the wheelchair. Right now, if I did use my car, I would take my wheelchair to the bottom and I can stand long enough to pivot, that's about it, into my car. But that's even getting more difficult every day too, so.
The van pulls down, I'm sorry, but I've watched. The van pulls to the front of the home, she comes down the ramp and over into on the street.
Yes.
She's
In her
never-
wheelchair,
She's.
In my
in
wheelchair.
her wheelchair, she's talking
That's
about
what
if
she
she
does
parks
now.
her car on the
That's
street,
what she does now.
but if she parks her car on the street, this is what she's saying, if she parks her car on the street, she can't leave her wheelchair on the street to get to her car. If she gets in her car, the wheelchair has to stay there, she drives away in her car, her wheelchair has to sit there until
Car
she
has
comes
moved
back.
so smart.
Yes, it has.
And you
And
do,
I can testify to that
you do realize, you do realize you've been parking there basically illegally
Exactly, like I said.
for how many years?
26 years
Yeah,
I've parked there.
and
I
I
said,
just
it's
want,
never been an issue, ever.
I just want to point that out.
Yeah, that's not the
Yeah.
problem. I'm just more worried about being able to get in and out of my home. That's what I'm worried about.
Car into the drive, get in the car,
I'm
or
talking,
into that area,
Yeah.
get in the car and go do what you gotta do.
We understand adjustments will need to be made for you.
Yes.
Completely, yeah. And,
And the Joneses would absolutely accommodate.
Sure.
Yeah, without hesitation.
Yeah.
They are not mean people.
you seem like reasonable people, so, yeah.
They're very
Yeah.
reasonable.
All right. So,
I just don't want them banging on my door at 7:30 in the morning, demanding that I move my car because they wanna pull something in there. That's what I don't want. If they vacate it, that's fine, but that needs to be theirs, this needs to be mine. You know, that's more I'm worried about. Because that's what they, that's what they did. You know, they pound on my door, demanded me to do this when I physically cannot, and then get upset when I can't. And then when you threaten me and tell me you're gonna pound stakes into my driveway, I'm afraid, I've been afraid for 2 months to leave my house, a fear that I'm not gonna be able to get back in.
yeah,
They have pulled in, like I said, the first day I even met them, they pulled in behind my car. I didn't know who they were. I just assumed it was a new renter, and I just kindly asked them, please don't block the sidewalk, and if you park there, I can't get in and out of my house through the wheelchair. And I said, from there, they just got snippy about it.
yeah,
It's like, that's what I want to avoid. I don't want to be bothered.
yeah.
So Andrew, I have one more question for you. Just want to confirm that if it's vacated, the car cannot park there anymore, correct? Because it has to be able for both parties to get in and out. You can't stay in the drive, you can't park there,
In the easement.
in the easement,
I don't think it should be parked there now.
correct?
And I also don't think if the alley gets vacated, it should be parked there.
Because they both have to be able
Because
to
it-
get in and out.
And I guess a good way of describing it is, vacating it changes the nature of the alley for the public, but in a lot of ways doesn't change the nature of the alley for the neighboring landowners. It's still an alley to them. It still needs to be open for ingress and egress.
Ingress and egress means in and out,
And
not stationary.
I hate to muddy the waters further, and I still don't think this has anything to do with whether it serves a public purpose, but there are some exceptions to that general rule of where ownership goes. And I don't think with what's before us, we're capable of knowing that, but there are scenarios where the entirety of the alley goes to one side or the other. And in that case, it's yours and you can park on it.
So as
But
far
that-
as with the driveway, all the way back, what does that curtail, through the yard back there?
Same instance, if it's vacated, half and half to all the property owners, all the way down the line to, is that Carroll right there?
Yes.
To Carroll Street.
Because like I said, right in front of my car, there's just a small piece of the land there, and then they have a big shed that sits there,
Right.
which they took on when they bought the house because the previous owner had that put there. So does that get to stay?
That shed sits on the alley?
Yes. And then the house behind that has a fence, and it's over the alley.
and then the
Where is the
trees and the
shed?
garden sit on the other side of the alley. There's no, you can't drive through there.
No, you can't. And you can see that in these other pictures online too.
Property outline when we purchased it, the house came with the lot as well as a small square. Additionally, with Carroll, it came with the lot and a small square behind it. And the small square is where the, shed is sitting, so it was allocated to us as.
That is not true. Your lot is in the back where the sheds are at. Where that shed is that big shed is sitting, that is the alley. That alley, where I could park my car, the alley goes all the way back around the houses. The second house that you're buying, That alley went right out that driveway.
Well, I think Attorney Bush would agree with me that the only way to really determine property lines is with a survey.
Right.
And I'm sure when you bought the property, there was a title search along with a location survey that showed you any encroachments you may be experiencing, whether you're hanging over your property, I'm talking to you, yeah. So, or if anybody's encroaching on you as well, and you didn't see any, they didn't point out any?
No, the shed is on like a square piece that was allocated to us, and if you look at the purchase, but for us to get our loan, we were required to have the survey done. And everything was required to be on our piece of land, for the loan to be approved.
Sure, and the bank was happy with that,
Correct,
and that was taken care of,
yes.
I see.
But the shed is on the alley.
Well,
I believe you.
Yeah, it is on the alley, which it doesn't matter, I mean, it can stay there, I don't care, you know?
yeah,
I'm
so,
just saying, you know, do they get to keep their shed? On the other half, their lots are in the back. Mine is fenced in, which, you know, they have told the neighbors and everything that they think my fence is up illegally, which it's not. I had the city come out and pull my pegs. My lot is the very first one, that was my parking place. The city then told me that since my lot was connected to my property, that I was within my right to fence it in, which I did. There, you know, each of us paid for a lot because there used to be a 4-car garage back there. And each of those 4 houses each have a lot. Right now, the house that's on the very end, they have 2 sheds and a garden. They've occupied all their lots. My lot is fenced in.
a new survey would be done in connection with the vacation, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily.
No, okay. Or the establishment of an easement? No?
Could be, but
Okay,
not always.
okay,
Not always.
very good. Are there any other public comments?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So when you vacate the alley, and you split, half goes here, half over here. If the shed sits on the half that's allocated to the Joneses, no harm, no foul, correct? The car can't sit on her half only. That's the,
Correct.
her car takes up the entirety of the alley.
You're correct.
Now, I don't have a
Although-
problem moving my car.
That's a, at that point, that's a legal matter.
Now,
Yeah.
No, it is not. It is on my property line.
with the property on there.
Yeah,
So, but it doesn't matter, we don't care,
right,
we don't care.
okay,
It doesn't affect,
yeah. As long as you can get in and out.
it doesn't affect.
Sure. Anyone else
Behind the house.
like to make a public comment regarding the matter? Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing and turn it over to the Board of Revisions and Assessment for a recommendation.
All right, we'll repeat the process that you just witnessed. So I will call the meeting of the Board of Revision and Assessment to order. Do we have a motion?
Before I make the motion, I would like to make a statement. In looking at the property, there is no value in the city in retaining this property. There is no water line, there is no sewer line, there is no storm sewer operating through this. I'm going to be quite honest with you, when I first saw this map, I thought, how in the world does this even happen? Because if you look at it, there are 2 houses that are infringing, at least 2 houses that are infringing on this so-called alley. Now, 100 years ago, we didn't have permits and building codes and things like we do today. And that's one of the reasons that we have those laws today, is to keep property owners safe so that I don't build a house on your property, nor do you build a house on my property. There are setbacks that have to happen. 100 years ago, obviously, this did not happen. And in looking at it, I see no value of the city retaining this property. Now, I understand that there's neighbor issues, and that's something you folks need to work out so that you can both harmoniously utilize the property, so that you can fix the house next door, and so that you can have access to get in and out of your home. You've said that your house, you've parked on that lot or that driveway for 20-some years. Can respect that. But in reality, that was a public right-of-way that you couldn't park on ordinarily, any more than you can park on Pleasant Street in the middle of it, right? Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we vacate this alley. But I wanted you to know why we're doing it, all right? Do you understand? Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we recommend to this council that we vacate this alley.
Seconded.
All right, do we have any further discussion? Asking that question, and I would say, reiterate what Mr. Paxton said and just simply add to it. Even if we were to not recommend that it be vacated, then you could be cited for parking in the alley and refusing to move your car. So unfortunately, one way or the other, something will have to be done to adapt, because I clearly see your ramp exits right out to your car door. So it makes all the sense in the world, but looks like the scenario will have to change one way or the other, so. And our engineering section will work with you on that in the sense of, if there needs to be some other variance given, we'll try to accommodate, because we know there are limitations. So I will ask if there's any more discussion. If not, all in favor of recommending to the council to vacate the alley signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. So motion carries. So now the Board of Revision and Assessment is recommending to the city council to vacate the said alley.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Caio, did you have something to share with the council that was important?
No, it's I pulled up the GIS for that area, and it's absolutely not accurate, you know? And I've heard that, you know, sometimes GIS just doesn't match property lines, and in this case, it obviously doesn't, because the property lines are going through middle of houses.
Right.
So it's one of those, like you said, it was, like Larry said, or the law director, or the finance director said, it was done at a time with no permits and very little zoning, and so things just get skewed out of whack.
Absolutely.
And they completely are in this case, so that's all we're looking at.
All right,
So,
very good. So with that, council, we'll move right to the ordinance then. This will be item C on the agenda, an ordinance to vacate a certain alley situated in the city of Ashland, Ohio, and declaring an emergency for Pleasant and Carroll.
Move for non-reading in full.
second,
Thank you.
Kyle,
aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Woodward,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Workman.
Aye. So with that then, is there a motion to approve on the first reading?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller,
Aye.
Woodward,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Workman,
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Woodward,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Workman,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Motion to approve the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson,
Aye.
Workman,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Ordinance 45-24.
All right, then moving through the agenda here, we have no resolutions. We do have another public hearing item set for 7:30, which we'll move to now. It'll be the first hearing for the 2025 tax budget. And with that, I'll turn it over to, again, Director Paxton for a summary.
tax budget you have before you is a rough draft of where we think that we might fall, revenues and expenditures for 2025. It is a draft copy of where we think that we will end up at. Please keep in mind that a tax budget is an exercise that the city is required to do annually in effort to prepare its estimates of revenues and expenditures for the following year. A lot of what it drives is the millages on the property taxes. It kind of justifies those millages so that we can, the county can then collect those property taxes and pay them to the city. And in doing that, it is not the final appropriations. It does not appropriate any money. It does not authorize any expenditures at this time. That comes later in the year, hopefully right after the beginning of the next year, once we complete the final numbers for year-end '24. In doing it, it does go and starts the process for the coming year. The millage that the city collects currently is 3.9 mills. There is a 3.4 mills are not voted on. They're called the inside millage. That funds the general fund as well as the bond fund and the both the police and fire pension funds that we collect to help offset those pension costs. Then the park levy has a 5/10 mill that goes exclusively, that is voted on by the voters every 5 years in an effort to fund park activities. It doesn't fund all of it, but it does help contribute to the park operations. In doing that, the tax budget, some of the highlights is that we're anticipating the income tax to be approximately where we are today. We've budgeted $19,800,000. Currently, the income tax is running about even. It's not, it goes ahead a couple percent and then it goes down a couple percent. Got to remember that you don't get the final numbers for the tax collection in '23 until the middle of October. So in doing that, if a person gets an extension, that extension rides out until the middle of October. So we cannot, we're working in July trying to guess, if you will, what our October numbers are going to look at. Right now, we're running pretty much even, so we do believe that we will end the year at about 19.8, which is where we hope that we will start the 25 with. Now, please keep in mind that we've had some unusual years. In times past, we had the good fortune of collecting more money in income tax than what we anticipated, which was a very good thing during those times because we were able to utilize those resources for a lot of good things, improvements within our community. In doing it now, this budget estimates the revenues at about $77 million altogether for the city, and about 73, almost 74 million in expenditures for 2025. Please keep in mind that this is a draft copy between now and the next council meeting, hopefully by the end of next week, why we will finalize this so that we can get a little more solid numbers to you so that you can see them. They are on our website so that people can see that as well and see what their government's doing. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I wish I had more solid numbers for you, but I think that for tonight's meeting, this is one of two public meetings we have to do. From here, we will ask you to adopt a tax budget, which will then be submitted to the County Budget Commission. Even though the city has its own budget process, that also has to go to the county for their approval, their review, and then from there, once that is adopted, there will be an ordinance afterwards adopting those millage rates for the 25-year tax collection, and we'll go from there.
I believe we set this for September 3rd, the second hearing, is that
No,
correct?
it has to be done in July, sorry.
Oh, okay. So
It's for the
next meeting,
second, it's for the
we'll have
next
another
council
hearing and
meeting,
vote.
yes.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
All right.
all right.
Well, for one, Larry, I've always appreciated your conservative approach in your estimates of revenue and expense, and you've always under-promised and over-delivered. The over-delivery part we don't expect, but we do appreciate you being conservative.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. Questions, comments? Council has none. We'll open the floor to any public comments regarding our tax budget. If anyone here would like to address council on the matter, be glad to hear your concerns. All right. Hearing none, then we'll close the hearing for the 2025 tax budget and move right to mayor's comments.
All right, I real quickly will give you a summary of our fireworks situation. Mr. Miller did a pretty good job there, I think, of outlining the details. Still some people giving us calls and asking why the change, why moving from Community Stadium to Freer Field. Basically, what it boils down to is, if you recall, there have been a lot of improvements out at the high school. And one of the most recent improvements is a brand newly renovated baseball field. You may not realize it, but for the last several years, our fireworks have actually been shot off right there in the infield of the former baseball field, meaning all the shells were set off right there in the middle of all of that. Well, with all the investment that's put into the field this past year, the school officials contacted us last week and asked if we could move the show or move that fire site or the fire site of where we blast off the fireworks just a couple hundred feet away out into the outfield. Well, the truth is, you can't. Because if you do that, then you are running into other conflicts and we'd be unable to get the permit to shoot off the fireworks as we do every July 4th. Incidentally, I would not know this if it were not for actually our downtown Christmas fireworks, but the law requires that for every inch of shell you use, you need a 75-foot radius minimum. Now, most of the fireworks company and our local fire folks require roughly 100 feet just to be extra safe. But basically what that means is if we're using a 2-inch shell, 3-inch shell, that's what we use primarily down here downtown at Christmas time. They don't go as high and they have a smaller fallout. We need less space, and we can tuck them in spaces like we do out here out back. But when you're doing the grand 4th of July fireworks show, now you're using 4-inch shells and 5-inch shells in some cases. Those are the biggest, I believe. And now what you do is you basically multiply 4 times 75, or in this case, 4 times 100. You have a 400-foot radius, and that means you have to do a circle of 400 feet. So the diameter of that circle is actually 800 feet. And you can see why we had just squeezed it in there at the stadium site. So if we were unable to set them off on our newly renovated baseball field, we were going to have to move them elsewhere, and that's why we moved them to Freer Field. Ultimately, I have to tell you, I think it'll be a great improvement. For the last several years, all the fireworks companies that we've worked with have all recommended, why don't you move your show to Freer Field? Because it's a much wider open area and allows for people to spread out more around the actual show site. So it just, I guess it forced our hand this year. I do want you to know that we just put out a map on Facebook, and so you'll see that if you have concerns about where to park. Basically, it is the same footprint that we utilize for Balloon Fest. So you will access public parking, free public parking, off of Center Street using the Daleroy or Historical Society Drive. You will follow back the lane just like you do with Balloon Fest. We actually, though, are going to have a number of parking volunteers and employees out there to help you park. You'll park very similar to what you just did this past weekend. And then, with the exception of the red area that delineates that fallout radius that I just spoke of, basically you will be allowed to set your chair or your blanket or wherever you'd like. You can wait in your car if you'd like, all over the rest of that field. So you'll have far more viewing area than what you even have at the Balloon Fest. We also, of course, are going to provide restrooms, which that has been a big question we received out at the stadium because there's no easy public restrooms. But we're going to have porta pots scattered throughout the area there where you view the fireworks. Also, at the end of the evening, when cars are being dismissed, we are going to provide 2 exit locations. With the help of our police officers, people will be able to exit out on Center Street, just as you do with Balloon Fest, or you will be allowed to exit out the Chestnut Street alleyway that is up there on the north side that goes out into Morgan. And if you hear that and you're immediately thinking that's going to be a mess, we trust that our police officers will be able to handle the traffic control and keep people moving. We also hope to have someone stationed at the intersection of Center Street and Mill Morgan and Hillcrest to keep traffic flowing, so the light isn't changing and people aren't hitting the crosswalk button and delaying traffic and backing it up even further. So I think it'll work out pretty well. This also will give us the ability in the future to possibly have food trailers out there for the 4th of July, and then also provide entertainment even in the future. Because years ago, we used to provide entertainment at the community stadium before we were unable to use that facility. And this helps us bring that back if we choose to do so in the future. And then finally, the only thing that I would add is, this is a good time to do this because in 2026, America will celebrate her 250th birthday. And we are planning, along with, I'm sure, many other places all across the country, to have one heck of a 250th birthday party on July 4th, 2026. And this will make it much easier to do something more spectacular, having a wider open space where we can accommodate a larger crowd. So that is the reason for the move, and we do appreciate people's patience. I have to admit, when we had to make the announcement, I knew that the people that would be the most hurt would be those that have gotten used to having their family and friends over in their front lawn across from the high school and all those surrounding condos, because I know a lot of people have their gatherings there at July 4th. But you just heard that's the reason you didn't get 2 months' notice, because no one was thinking about it, I don't believe, until right down there to the moment when people are thinking, wait a second, there could be shells on that brand-new field. We don't want that. So that's why we're here. So I appreciate everyone's understanding.
Anything else, Mayor?
That'll be it.
All right. With that, then, we'll move right to comments and questions from our audience. If anyone has anything else not pertaining to this agenda that you would like to talk to council about, feel free to step up to the podium and state your name and what ward you live in for our minutes, please.
Hello?
Good evening.
Can I take as long as Larry? No, Howard Scanlon, Fourth Ward. I'd like to thank my councilperson Woodward for acting swiftly on a complaint I had. I'd like to advance that just a little bit. If you look across from Prospect, there's that steel fence rail, whatever it is, big drop. Please take a look down in there. I was told by the county it's railroad property. They're pretty slack about cleaning up their messes. And if you look down in there, yeah, you might want to make a call and tell them, get down there. That's all I got, but thank you for,
Well, thank you.
for that.
You're welcome, Howard. Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, hearing none, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.